goal-driven entrepreneur, and I'm recognized among my peers and mentors as being insightful and ahead of the curve. That's what I'm always told I am. I believe that I am here to be an inspiration to persons who have been through a life of adversity and to help them move along that journey to uncovering their true self and living a life of purpose, prosperity, and success. Wow. I have always wanted to be in business. In 2001, I started my bachelor's degree in management at the University of the West Indies. My plan back then was to have a business that would deal with corporate wear for executives, making uniforms, etc. However, when I got into corporate life, working in the PR and communications field, I moved away from that dream. But in 2011, I decided that it was time to go back to that passion, and it just happened that the business took on a different form. So instead of me simply sewing clothing for executives, I actually studied image consulting, and I tied that into actually owning a fashion boutique. So in addition to my image studio, I own a fashion boutique, and because we deal with the total image, I've also included the hair salons and all of that. So that passion was always there. It's just that sometimes you get so caught up enjoying corporate life that you move away from that passion. But I believe that God always draws us back at the right time when we are ready to make that big impact. Being an entrepreneur is totally rewarding. I would always say it goes beyond the financial rewards. When you see that you put a smile on your client's face, no money could actually make up for that feeling that you get when your client is happy. I love to see when someone come in and their shoulders are slumped over and they're not feeling their best self, and I would work with them, and when they are leaving, shoulders are back, their head is high, and they're confident. So the rewards of being an entrepreneur is way more than I even anticipated because of that connection that I have with my clients and the benefit that I bring to them. What made me decide to write the book Uncovering You was my own personal journey of feeling stuck. Yes, I was going through business and doing well in my business, but I still felt as though there was more that I could do. I felt as though, yes, I was doing well, but I could have done better. I could have done more. So I started searching within to figure out exactly what was holding me back, what was making me feel stuck. And I've gone through a process of what I consider uncovering myself. And then I realized, listen, I'm onto something here. If I have done this process to uncover myself and to discover my purpose and to live in that purpose, then I could document this and allow other persons to also uncover themselves and live in their purpose. I have had the benefit of having my colleagues and friends and persons who I've come in contact with over the years read and review Uncovering You, Guide to Living the Life of Your Dreams. And I have persons from India, Singapore, Kazakhstan, the United States of America, and it's all persons who I have a deep connection with. And I've met these persons along my journey through uncovering myself and also my journey to growing my business. Some of the persons who would have reviewed my book, I would have met them at the London Image Institute, where I studied image consulting and professional development coaching in the UK. I would have also met some at the Steve Harvey Success Institute, where I completed the School of Business Acceleration and the School of Personal Transformation. I've also met some persons at a local entrepreneurship program called Women Innovation Network of Trinidad and Tobago, WINC TT. So it would have been persons who I would have met over the last 3 to 4 years. I've been in business 5 years, since 2012, and those persons would have been in my life during my business journey. Spirituality is very important to live an abundant life. To live that life of your dream, you must understand, it is my belief that you must understand that there is something greater and there is someone greater in charge of everything. I remember one time listening to an interview with Oprah Winfrey, and the interviewer asked, if you had to look back at your younger self and tell them one thing, what would that be? And she said, relax. And it's so true, because sometimes we try to make things happen, but once you believe that God has already paved that road and planned it out for you, I got to the point where I would always say, God, you lead, I will follow. And that's exactly what I do. So I don't stress over anything, because I believe that everything that is happening, whether good or bad, is all part of my journey in life to fulfill that purpose that God has destined for me to fulfill. I believe that it was important for me to uncover myself, because I would be able to truly fulfill my purpose in life. Sometimes we may be going through life, the regular, mundane routine, growing up in the Caribbean especially, we're taught, okay, you go to school, you get a good education, you get a good job, you work in that one job for 30 years, you would get married, have children, and then retire. But I believe that life is more than that. And sometimes you look at life and you realize that some persons would get to retirement but feel unfulfilled. So that is why for me it was so important to uncover who you truly are, because when you do that, you would live a fulfilling life. And if that fulfilling life means that you go through that process that we were taught to go through, that regular process, then so be it. But if you want more, so my motto is be more, do more, want more. So if I want more, then I have to uncover my true authentic self, because that's the only way I can truly be more and give more. I believe that it is necessary to share, and share whether it's good or bad. And the reason for that is, sometimes you may encounter a certain situation and you may think that you are unique in this trouble that you're going through, but somebody else is going through that exact same thing. So by you sharing your story, your trials, your tribulations, not only to share your wins, yes, you want to share your wins and have everybody celebrate with you, but you also want to share those times when you're not so good, and knowing that it's okay to not be okay, and to let persons know that, because by you sharing, you could help somebody else deal with a similar situation that they may be going through, and also allow them to have that breakthrough that would allow them to uncover themselves and begin to live the life of their dreams. I would have overcome the stereotypes based on simple, well, I should not say that it's simple, in that in my book I speak of a situation with my grandmother where I came home one day crying, and she said, don't ever let anyone make you cry because they do not want to play with you. Let it be said that in spite of your parents, your father killing your mother, in spite of that, you must be such a person that even if someone speak of that situation, they will say but. There must always be that but that you must move away from what people would think. You grew up a certain way, so you might be destined to land in jail or to be a bad person. But in fact, you can use those challenges to really move on and to progress, to put it that way. You know, so it doesn't have to be a situation where you feel stuck based on that. But I would have felt stuck, and I felt stuck for a very long time. And something as simple as me starting my first full-time job after university and going back to search for that newspaper article from 1985 to see if my name was mentioned anywhere, because I started to feel this fear that I would progress in life and become someone known, and then for some reason my past is going to come to haunt me. So I went and dig up just to find if anything was said anywhere. Thankfully, the journalist would have written the article so poorly that you couldn't really tell what took place. But I still felt as though I was stuck. And I was stuck because I felt ashamed. And when you feel ashamed and when you feel that guilt, you really need to do that personal work. So personal development was critical for me to get over those hurdles and understand, listen, that had nothing to do with you. So use it to inspire others, which is why I would always say my mission is to be an inspiration to those who have been through a life of adversity, because it's already done. It happened. Now what? Would you sit back and be depressed always, or would you use that to propel yourself forward? To go back through my childhood, I would say that there were good times, there were bad times, there were sad times, and there was happy times. So it's not that things were bad all the time. It's just that when you grow up in a situation like what happened to my sisters and I, family members are not necessarily prepared for such a thing. It's easy for me to talk about now. I can speak about it now without getting emotional about it, and that's because I released it. In writing Uncovering You, it was a process. It took me 2 years to write this book. And it was a process to allow me to deal with my guilt and shame also, because I knew those things would even pop up with respect to my business. My business was growing really fast and I was doing extremely well, but I still felt that fear, what if people find out? And because of that, once again, I got back into that state of feeling stuck. So I knew that I had to do something about it. And I'm telling you that once I released it, by me writing the book was my way of releasing it. So I put it out into the universe, it's out there, and I released that guilt, I released that shame, I released all of that. So that weight is no longer on my shoulders. I feel so relieved by it because I released it. I think if I did not release it, and I was trying to keep it a big secret, I would not be experiencing the prosperity that I'm experiencing now. When I was getting married, I would have been 27 years old. And I would say I was at a stage in my life where I felt as though everything was perfect, because I was going through that routine of what everyone said life should be like. I went to school, I got my degree, I had a really good job. I would have purchased my home at 26 and I was feeling so accomplished. So getting married was just that icing on the cake, and I was really excited about getting married. But then my childhood situation resurfaced, and that put a damper on me, because once again I went into that retreat where I felt as though I have all these things going for me. Why is it that persons are bringing up these things to make it appear as though I'm not good enough? That's how I felt. I'm doing all these things, so I'm good enough, and yet still I'm getting married and it's being said, you're not good enough because your father killed your mother. You're not good enough because you didn't grow up in a nuclear family. You're not good enough. That's not something anybody wants to hear. And at that point in time, I felt as though I'm not doing this. I'm not accepting this because I am all that. I am this, I'm that, I've done X, Y, and Z. I am in a good place and I'm comfortable with me. So if you don't like that, you're free to go. And I took that stand. And I was very happy that I took that stand because it kept me in a very good place. I did not go in a corner and cry, Lord, why me? No, I didn't cry because I knew all that I have worked on and all the work that I've put into myself, and I did not feel it was just for that to resurface itself in such an ugly manner. So I took that stand and I said, this is me, this is what you get, love it or leave it. When I was called and told that my mother-in-law, my mother-in-law to be, was speaking of such things that, don't marry her, etc., etc., it really hurt me because I felt as though you don't know me. At that point in time, I don't think we had ever really met. And you simply heard of the situation and you assume that it's maybe somebody that wasn't worthy. So you did not know me, yet still you're judging me. And that made me step back and take a look at the individual itself, because whereas I guess for somebody else they may start to look at themselves and think, hey, something is wrong with you. I felt as though, listen, there's nothing wrong with me because I did nothing. And that happened when I was 4 years old. So that should not have any bearing on me being married at 27, especially when I've done so much and I'm in a really good place. So it would have impacted, I would say, my relationship with her, because even though over the years we would have our relations would have gotten better, I always remember that situation. And I would always tie it in my mind. I felt as though it was equivalent to that mother when I was 7 years old who told her daughter, don't play with her because her father killed her mother. So now I'm ready to get married and just telling your son, don't marry her. Her father killed her mother. Don't marry her. She did not grow up in a nuclear family. Don't. So it made me look at her differently. And I would say that that would have somehow impacted our relationship until I've done that work and released it. And I said, Lord, just as the Bible tells us, forgive them. I had to go through that process of forgiving her. And to this day, we have never had a conversation about it, but I have forgiven her. And I have even forgiven the individual who came and told me about it, because I just felt as though it was mischief all around, and I personally did not want to be part of that. Forgiveness is critical. You can't really progress in life if you're holding on to things that are keeping you down. You have to forgive. You have to release it. And I've even spoken about that in the book. Mentorship is extremely important for anyone. It doesn't matter whether you have gone through trials in life. Even if you have what may have been considered a perfect life, you still need a good mentor. I would have had a few people who truly impacted my life. One person that I will forever be grateful for was my high school teacher, Miss Kamala Butchune. And she has been part of my life since I was 12 years old. And throughout my school life, she's always been there to provide that support. When I completed my fifth form education and I wanted to move on further, but I didn't have money to continue school, she said, find out if we pay your transportation for school and get your books and uniform, if you would be allowed. And where I was living at the time, that individual say yes, okay, and Miss Butchune and one of my other teachers, Mr. Wilson, every single month they would give me transportation for school and all of that. I know they were teachers, but they have gone way beyond what the education system required of them. One of my girlfriend's mom, Judith Edmond, my friend in sixth form, Asha Edmond, and her mother, Judith Edmond, God alone knows how she knew I didn't have anything to eat when I'm going to school without eating anything, and whatever she would pack for her daughter, she would pack for me. And that's why I always say God would have sent his angels just at the right time. When I completed sixth form and I did well and I got accepted to university, once again I'm stuck because I'm thinking I don't have money to pay for university. And once again, Miss Butchune made arrangements, and I was able to get a job at a particular company. And the arrangement was, as long as I am in university, I would come there to work during the vacation period, and that is how I made money to pay for university. While I was working at this company, I met another angel called Vida Bagan. And with Vida, she was the nurse for that particular company because the company was within the energy sector. And I needed a new pair of glasses and I had no money. I knew if I bought the glasses, I would not have money to pay for school. And Vida passed that through the company, and that company bought me a new pair of glasses. What company purchased eyewear for an intern who's only working 3 months out of the entire year? So Vida was another angel. And two more angels I had Carlisle St. Louis and Lynette John. They both provided transportation for me while I was working, so I did not have to spend money in transport to and from work. So that allowed me all of my money that I made from working, I was able to use that money to pay for school fees, which was the exact amount I needed to pay for school fees. So God provided me with angels every step of the way, and I'm just so grateful for that. So that's why I spoke about my spiritual beliefs earlier. That is why I know that there is a greater power. There is somebody greater in charge of what is going on. And it's just for me to allow God to lead and follow. Why didn't I just give in? I think it all goes back to that relationship that I have with God. I feel as though because of that, I've always trusted God, and I always trusted that there was a better life. The way that I grew up, I didn't want my adult life to be like that, and I did not want my children to live that type of life. So I knew that I needed to do better, and I never got into a state of accepting a mediocre life because my mentors never allowed me to settle even. I had good mentors where they were the ones who said, Zakiya, you have to do X, Y, and Z because you're too bright. So they believed in me. So even at a time when I didn't believe that I was bright, because at no point in my childhood anyone ever told me, Zakiya, you're bright. No one ever said, Zakiya, you're beautiful. Nobody ever said that. But I know I'm bright. I know I'm beautiful. I know I'm made in God's image and likeness. And I trust that there is so much more to life. And that's why I did not settle. Wow. What's in store for me? My life at this point in time is way beyond what I even imagined for my life. And I am at that point where I simply say, God, you continue to lead. You provide me with that guidance. I visualize, I see myself traveling the world, speaking to audiences of tens of thousands of people and allowing them to uncover themselves. So I think the 8 businesses that I own, yeah, that's good. But what I am about to do is even greater than that. And the businesses can function, yes, on their own. And my ideal is for it to function without Zakiya Mills Francois even being there. So yes, the businesses can function on its own, and I could be traveling the world, inspiring people to be more, want more, and do more. So that's what's next for me. I was married 8 years. I got married on the 8th of the 8th, 08. And I say was because as of January, my husband and I are now separated. And what role my husband played in my life for the last 8 years, I would say the role of a support. With respect to my business, my husband would have eventually come into the business, so he was working the business with me. Unfortunately, different things happen in life that we don't expect, and we are just accepted. I've gotten to that point where I've accepted it and I've said, Lord, you know what's in store. You know what's next. You know why my marriage did not last beyond 8 years, and I trust you. And I had to get to that point instead of retreating and feeling as though I'm a failure. I remember one time talking to my pastor because I said, Pastor, I just want to make sure that I'm right with God because I don't take marriage lightly. And I know what the Bible and I understand what the Bible speak about divorce. And I wanted to make sure that I was right with God. And in talking to my pastor, that is what gave me that comfort. That listen, you're not a failure because your marriage failed. And it's okay to not be okay because at the end of the day, you're human. Things happen. What is the lesson that is to be learned from this marriage that when I engage and encounter in another marriage, that the journey would be one that would in fact last forever as God intended marriage to be. What I would do differently if I had to start my career all over? Absolutely nothing. I would not change a single thing. And it all goes back to my personal belief. I believe that everything that we go through along this journey called life is necessary to take us to that next step. So we may be walking and the road may be smooth, but then we may encounter a bump. Do we stop and look at that bump, or do we find a way to move on beyond it? So Which is why for me, during life, you would have encountered different challenges. You may have had good bosses, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Yet still, every single thing was critical to get me to the point that I am at now, to create me into the person that I am now. So to change anything, I would say it's to almost tell God that what he was doing wasn't good enough. And I believe that what he's done is perfect, and I look forward to what else is to come. First, understanding your purpose in life. Understanding who you are, why you are here, and what you are called to do. That's the first thing. You must understand that, because at times as entrepreneurs, we're trying to do things that's not our true purpose. We may be chasing money, so we're getting into whatever is hot, whatever is new, whatever is in style. But that may not be true and authentic to you. So you have to understand what your own purpose is, what your own gift is, and live in that purpose. So that's critical. Another one would be having what I call stick-to-itiveness. Many times you may find that you would start something, it doesn't do well, you'll stop. Or you may start it and you find that it's taking so long to get off the ground. You have to stick to it. Do the groundwork, cover all of the bases, and even if challenges come your way, stick to it. And the last one I would say is staying in action. And when I speak of staying in action, sometimes we may get to a point in our entrepreneurial journey where we feel as though all is well. We have money, we have clients, things are going pretty good. Why improve? Why change? Why do anything else? Because we get comfortable or we may get complacent. But you have to stay in action. When you think of stagnant water, what would happen to stagnant water? Things start growing in it. You don't want to be stagnant. Exactly. So that is why you have to stay in action. And when I talk about staying in action, it's not just about working a business all the time. It's about working on you. Because if you only work on your business will not do as well as if you work on you, your personal development, dealing with whatever have you stuck, dealing with those things, dealing with your own personal development would in fact help your business development. So you have to stay in action and work on you just as much as you work on your business. I tell entrepreneurs all the time. In fact, I tell entrepreneurs, I tell corporate executives, we all need to have our own personal brand. And we need to understand the values that represent our brand. And to make it short, your personal brand is critical because that is reflective within your business, within your career. For example, I might tell a client, if you are in a job and you feel unhappy in that job, you need to look and determine if the brand values of that organization is in alignment with your personal brand values. Because if there isn't synergy, then you're not going to be happy. So your personal brand is critical to help you be authentic and live that life of your dreams. So when I speak in my book of living the life of your dreams, some people may only think it's about financial abundance, but it's not as simple as that. It's about the relationships you have, your spiritual life. It's everything that would make you live an abundant life, because all those elements are critical to live the life of your dreams. The current shift that we're seeing with respect to entrepreneurship, I think it's a really good one. And I think it's good because we would have looked at our parents and their parents and the way that they did it, and we believe that there is a better way. We would have seen more mature persons around us work all their life and work so hard, and then they retire and their bones ache and they're not as youthful and sprightly anymore, so they can't do a lot of the things that they had dreamt of doing. So with entrepreneurship, yes, it's hard work, but it gives you that flexibility to do things on your time. It gives you that flexibility to take vacations, to have better vacations. It gives you that flexibility to really work at something that you are interested in. And it puts the power in your hands where you no longer have to sit and wait for your employer to provide you with income, but you can go out there and earn your own income and be fulfilled in doing that. Entrepreneurship is never easy. Even though the country is in a financial crisis currently, that would allow us as entrepreneurs to really dig deeper and find creative ways of attracting our clients. Because even though we're in a financial downturn, persons are still spending. Persons still have money to spend. They would spend on what they want to spend on. So how are you as an entrepreneur showing your ideal clients that what you are offering them is something that they need? As entrepreneurs, we have to look and determine what problem are we solving. Because persons would buy from you if you are solving a problem. So what problem are you solving? So it's not a matter of the economic climate, it's about us not having clients come to us as easily. So we have to be more creative in the way that we attract our clients. Why do I have an appetite for that adrenaline rush? I love, love, love. I remember my husband used to say, why do you like all these suicidal activities? Because I would love water skiing, skydiving, parasailing, zip lining, you name it, I love it. Not to mention if you get me at Disney World or Universal Studios, the rides that I would choose to go on, because I realized my general day is always so busy in meetings, you're always suited up, you're doing different things that is necessary for business, but I love adventure and I love trying new things. So that's why when I'm on vacation, don't take me to a museum, don't take me for a fancy picnic in the park, because I will be bored out of my wits. I must be active, and I don't know why I like those type of, I just love, what I realized though, I think when persons see me in business, the way I am in business, and then they see me with my personal social activities, it's almost as though there is a disconnect, because Zakiya, the business person, and Zakiya on vacation, it's totally different. I just love that adrenaline rush. I remember when I went skydiving and we jumped out of that plane and you're feeling that rush of air. I can't even explain it, but it's just amazing. It's a really nice feeling. Way better than going on a romantic picnic in the park. So for me, I love adventure. I love adventure. I love adventure. I love the outdoors. It's just that my corporate life doesn't allow that to be part of my everyday routine. So when I go on vacation, I make sure that I do all these things. And I thought this was normal, but I am yet still to find a travel buddy. I have been searching for a travel buddy who loves adventure, because I think that there's so much fun to be experienced. My sisters would not even skydive. They would not do any of the adventurous stuff that I would do. Not even to go to Disney World and go on all these scary rides. And I just love these things. So I think it's a way for me to unwind also. It's a way to unwind and to just be free and enjoy everything else that there is to life. So there is such a fun side of me that is a fun side that my sisters sometimes say borders on crazy. But I think too, to be in business and to take the type of risk that I took getting into business, you have to have a little bit of craziness in you to do those things. You can't be safe all the time. You can't always play it safe, because then you're going to be overly cautious as you take those steps in business. So it's good sometimes just to be free and do what you love, especially if your lifestyle and your business demand doesn't allow you to do it often. So a typical work day for me, my day starts at 5:30 a.m. So I'm usually in bed by 10 p.m. There is a rare occasion when I'm up beyond that. But generally I'm in bed by 10. I do not set any alarms. I allow my body to sleep, rest, and wake itself. And I would always wake around 5:30 on mornings. When I get up, I would do the usual bathroom visits, and then I would have my morning devotion. So I always start my day with my devotions, because I believe that's the perfect way to start your day. And once I have my devotions and I have breakfast, if I'm feeling to eat at that point in time, because if I'm not, I'll have breakfast a little later, I get into doing some paperwork. So I would do paperwork. I usually get to my office for 10 o'clock. There are days when I would not be at my office. I may work from home, so that would allow me to get a lot more done, because I wouldn't have to spend time getting ready. But on average, I would get ready for work in 15-20 minutes, because I would get ready very quickly. So what I did, I moved close to my office, so I've eliminated 2 hours in traffic on a morning and 2 hours on an afternoon. So I've been able to add 4 hours to my day by just changing my location of where I live. And I found that to be extremely helpful, because I'm not in traffic for a long period being stressed out. So I get to work feeling good. And a typical day would depend on the day of the week, because my life is a schedule. And it's like that because I manage 8 companies. So I do everything based on a schedule. So I would have my days when I would work with my hair clients. I have days that I would work with my coaching clients. So everything is on a schedule, which makes it very easy. I know exactly what I'm going to do the next day before that day starts. So I'm not waking in the morning and now deciding, hey, what am I going to do today? It's not that. I already know exactly what is going to take place, and in doing that, it allows me to be a lot more productive throughout my day. So when persons say, how do you do all that? It's because I set schedules, I set targets, and I stick to it. I would like to read one part of my book. And it's the last line in my book. It says, the best of you is yet to come. no matter your current situation, work on being the best version of yourself. Your future self will look back and love you for putting in the work. And I ended uncovering you with that line because I believe that once you uncover your true, authentic self and peel away those layers of guilt, shame, hurt, and pain, you would be well on your way to living the life of your dreams.